Oh, hello. I didn't hear you come in. My name is Jay. I was just harvesting some Senzu beans from my garden.
Jay, did you say Senzu beans?
That's my brother John. This Senzu bean will give him mystical wisdom. Here, John, catch. James Bond is one of cinema's greatest heroes, but for every great hero, you need a great villain. And the James Bond franchise has delivered on some of the movie's best villains of all time. But for a franchise that's gone on for over 50 years, there's bound to be a slip-up.
So out of all these Bond movies, which one had the worst Bond villain?
Now, just to clarify here, we're not counting Yo-Yo Saw Guy or these random henchmen.
I'm Bambi.
And I'm Thumper.
We're counting the legit head-up main villain that Bond has to fight, because in each movie there is that one person that's identified as the Bond villain.
Correct. There are two different types of intense villains in any movie. They fall into either they're super strong, and it's because might is right. I am more powerful than you, so I'm going to push my will around.
I must warn you. I'm Roger Moore. Roger Moore.
That's one way. The other is if you have a really smart villain. You can rule out real quick these villains that match him with might or wit. You know they're a good villain. And then they can be intimidating because they're so smart. But you'll find that those that are the really smart ones always back themselves up with the super strong guys.
That's why every Poison Ivy action figure comes complete with him.
You can look at the James Bond movie Tomorrow Never Dies. The main villain is just a reporter. Well, James Bond could kill that guy. Except for the fact that he has this like Super Saiyan buff guy there that takes all these knives and stabs, and he's like, oh, no big deal, you know?
Even from the early Bond movies, you may have not feared Dr. No for his physique, but you could tell he was intelligent. And they had a great build-up in which Dr. No isn't seen until 2 hours into the movie. And you fear more the organization which he represents.
Spectre, Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, Extortion.
And From Russia with Love, you don't fear, oh, this old woman, she can beat up Bond. No, you feared Donald Red Grant, who was more than a match for Bond. So if they're able to command somebody, or be the head of an organization that was intimidating to Bond, then that same intimidation factor could play a role. For a number of the Bond villains, they had both intelligence and skill on their side. You look at the man with the golden gun, Christopher Lee.
Building off your point right there, that's why it was so disappointing to see him die in such a lame way, because it was like, wait, he was built up the whole time being real smart, yet he didn't know that dummy had his fingers back on and it was really Roger Moore.
What a dummy.
English humor.
Le Chiffre, clearly not a physical match for James Bond, but was clever enough to gain the upper hand on James Bond through his intellect, and portrayed very well by Hannibal Lecter.
So then it stands to reason that the worst villain wouldn't be strong or back himself up with strength. And so putting that into the factor, it's real quick to come up with the worst Bond villain ever.
And coincidentally is also the most forgettable Bond villain ever.
His name is Dominic Greene.
Who?
Exactly. Let's look at it real quick. Dominic Greene wasn't a smart guy.
About as intelligent as random high school teacher.
He was dumber than Bond. Not that he was so dumb, but really, let's put it in perspective. Here's James Bond, a secret assassin, 00 agent coming to kill the accountant. Here's Dominic Greene trying to account for things. The first time you even meet him, really, he's just sitting at the table trying to balance the budget. Oh, okay. And then as he talks about what a bad guy he is, he's like, oh, the piano lessons, they didn't like me, so it was like sand all over me. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 2, he didn't back himself up with any intimidating figure. This was not in Tomorrow Never Dies. This was not Goldfinger. He backed himself up with the dumbest nitwitty goofball. It's like having Scooby-Doo and Shaggy hey, let's get him, guys. Zoinks!
Wait, who was his henchman? Oh, you mean neck brace guy? That's the guy Bond is supposed to fear?
Elvis is a weird character. He is just really something else.
Imagine, if you will, if in Dark Knight, Batman's main villain wasn't the Joker, wasn't Two-Face, but was that one accountant who was on the TV who was like, I'm good with numbers. Imagine if that was the big climax, him fighting the accountant. I'm Batman.
Please don't hurt me, Batman. I only balance numbers.
Let's see how Bond and the accountant do in a one-on-one fight. And to make things even, let's give him an axe.
I only balance numbers, but here, let me try to chop you. Hi-ya! Hi-ya! Oh, my foot! Oh, why would you do this? Don't pull my hair! Oh. Very, very suspenseful, people. I did not get that the 00 agent could beat up and potentially kill an accountant. Wow, that was very suspenseful.
Well,
Yeah.
was he at least loyal to the company he was working for?
I answered your questions. I told you what you wanted to know about Quantum.
Yes, you did.
And so you're telling me they don't even show a torture scene or anything? That was the whole thing in Casino Royale. We gotta get Le Chiffre so we can find out who he's working for. Oh, let's find this accountant who off-screen will tell Bond everything he needs to know.
But the thing that kills me is if you get the special behind-the-scenes clips of it, you see the way Bond threatened the accountant was just with an eraser.
Stop! Stop!
Very disappointing. And I think the ratings for the movie speak for themselves.
Such a bad villain that in the next movie they didn't even follow up with what is Quantum doing. No, they're abandon that plot because the accountant's villain was so lame and so uninteresting. They had to go a whole new direction for Skyfall.
So the wisdom of the Senzu bean is Dominic Greene, worst Bond villain ever.
Dominic Greene, just stay away from the Senzu Bean Garden. You are not welcome here.
Restraining order.
Till the next bean is ready, I'm Jay.
And I'm John.